All right, guys, welcome to another live session of the Watercraft Journal. We're glad everyone is tuning in. We're going to let the trickle in of everyone coming in, signing in, joining the chat. We are very excited to be back up and running. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've last done one, and we have a very special guest tonight, but let's let some of the folks come in, chime in. I have a few things to introduce, a few things to talk about, and actually some pretty exciting news that I am very stoked to share. So, number one, we talked about it a while ago, but we have something here for our Sea-Doo loving friends, especially those with the 325s. Anyone with a 325, RXPX, RXTX, and GTX Limited with the 325 who are running into the speed limiter, the 325s are using the new harness. The old SCOM will work fine with that. This is the modern SCOM from our friends over at Active Jet Sport. Says right there, Active Jet Sport. This interrupts the basic plug. All right, we give you instructions on how to do this, and Active Jet Sport will absolutely untether your 325 powered Sea-Doo. This is going to be a giveaway. We are going to publish next week how you guys can win this. This has been sitting on our desk for a while, and we need to give this guy away to our friends who own a 325 who are not doing a major reflash. This is not a reflash. This is a SCOM. This is their SCOM X. It's speed control override module. Okay. So for those with an RXPX, RXTX, or GTX limited 325, you're going to want one of these guys because you're going to go deep into the 70s just by jumping on one of these. We will have information on how you can win this on the Watercraft Journal. It's watercraftjournal.com. Next week, we'll have the article on that, how you can enter to win. You're going to enter to win, and you're going to score this awesome, awesome product. Unfortunately, we are not shipping it internationally. So you got to be living in the lower 48 states. Sorry to our friends in Canada or in Australia or New Zealand or in Europe or anywhere else across the globe. I apologize. Now, if you do have a U.S. mailing address, you can get a little clever and have it sent to that mailing address. And then if it's like a P.O. box or something like that, you can have it shipped internationally. We're just not going to pay for it shipping internationally. All right. So that is a partnership with our friends at Active Jet Sport. That is something to get you guys going. It is towards the end of July. You still got plenty of riding time left. And for our friends in Australia, you're in the middle of winter anyway. All right. Number two is something really, really cool. And that's from our friends at Jet Tech. I have yet to open this, but this is possibly one of the most promising tools that I've encountered in a long time. All right. I wasn't a big fan of some other stuff that our friends at Jet Tech have made. We've done reviews. I gave it their goggles. I think I gave it kind of like a 5.5 or a 6. So don't worry about me being a sellout. I am happy to be mean and not mean, but be really, really raw and open when it comes to some things. But when they came out with this tool, I let them know. I said, I'm interested in testing this. I've yet to open it up. I was going to do a video opening it up and taking it out into the water. And how are you going to be able to access your pump? This is a pump clearing tool, both from inside of the nozzle and from the jet intake. There are a lot of different features available on this tool. This is your intake recovery tool. Sorry, I didn't give it the right name, but you have this hook to help fish weeds out and different, get chunks of wood, things like that. You also have a collapsible saw blade that if you do happen to suck up a rope, you can cut the rope. For our friends in Florida or in swampier areas who do get a lot of cooney grass or weeds that wrap up around the the drive shaft. This is also going to be very useful in sawing away at that. Now, you are going to have to get in the water. I don't know what people think you're going to be able to just sit on the back of your ski or sit in your seat and somehow magically reach your jet pump. You're going to have to jump in and get this stuff. This is your emergency spare tire. This is your emergency toolkit. So we are going to do a review on this tool. Expect a little bit of time for me to try to break it, try to really push it to the limit. But I'm very excited to test this out from our friends at JetTech. Let me get it right. All right. I am a little curious about the plastic body. I kind of want my tools made out of metal. So we'll see how well the plastic holds up. But expect a review on this. All right. One last thing before we bring our friends in is that I'm very, very excited to tease something, and I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse. I am kind of getting a little too excited for something, but we are going to be making a big thematic shift of the Watercraft Journal YouTube channel. The Watercraft Journal, www.watercraftjournal.com, still remains the #1 news personal watercraft industry website, web magazine in our industry. We do a lot of race coverage. We do some interviews. We do dip our toe into the racing segment for professional racers. We do that. But again, that is, for the most part, pro riders kind of bread and butter. We're not trying to cut their grass. But we do want to support those who are involved in racing, especially our youth racers. We do want to see that new fresh blood and youth coming into the industry, because I do think it'll make for future change. But we are looking at the health of new vehicle sales. We are looking at the health of the industry as a whole currently, and things are not great. And you've heard me really, really beat this horse to death, and the corpse it's damn near nothing but bones and leather, and I'm still beating on this dead horse. But I do strongly believe that the product currently is aiming towards a dead end, and there needs to be some major course correction. And because of that need of course correction, I've been having conversations for the last year with Ernesto Callis, with Greg Gaddis, with Billy Duplessis, who is in the chat. Everyone, Billy's in the chat. Raise your glass for Billy. Billy's here. Cheers, Billy. Good to see you, buddy. I know he's got to run off and go to take care of some family stuff. We also have Joe over at Classic JetSkis, Joe Hill, fantastic representative of our friends across the pond. We are having these conversations about what's going on with current product and what's happening with the youth market, 35 younger, 30 younger, even 25 and younger. And that is all indicators. These are all road markers to point us towards a lot more classic personal watercraft tech. I am not going to leak what I just snagged. I am elated, white knuckle stoked over what has happened today. My wife is actually excited for me because she's like, I know you're having a really hard time. I'm like, I'm out of love with the industry. I have fallen out of love with jet skis. And I think a lot of you guys have seen it, and our guest has even commented on it. I know Greg has beat me up on it, and I think I have a solution. So in the next coming weeks, you're going to see a really big announcement here on the YouTube channel. You're going to see a lot more video coming out, and it's not just going to be podcasts. It's actually going to be legit hands-on video. And I don't want to say Kevin's got his groove back, but I think the Watercraft Journal is getting some fresh blood really quick. So we're pretty excited about that. I just wanted to just send that good vibrations out. Okay. All that being said, talking about big major changes, talking about health of the industry, talking about our manufacturers, talking about where we are today. It was massive news over the weekend. It was actually kind of a tectonic shift. And when the announcement was made on this gentleman's social media and on YouTube channel, we immediately reached out, and former contributor, now he doesn't need us at all. He's doing his own thing and doing it big, is Jared from JD's Waterworld. Is it okay if I call you Jared, or do you want JD? Or
no, JD.
Okay, JD's better. Okay, well, JD it is. JD, welcome to the Watercraft Journal. Thank you for coming back. And man, we got a lot to talk about, my friend.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to see you got your mojo back there.
Well,
because
I'm teasing it, but we'll you'll see some Facebook posts, and you'll see some social media posts. What do they say? The car isn't yours till it's on the trailer. The ski isn't necessarily mine till it's hitched onto my ball hitch yet. So
well, you've always been one of the few channels I used to watch with Kawi content. There's like 4 people maybe, including me, that do it. And so long before I had the channel or anything, I used to watch your show, and you're the one that pretty much leaked the new Ultra 310 on your channel. So you're the reason, so maybe I blame you. But you're the reason. Yeah. So so thanks for all you do. All you do for the jet ski community, because I know we all appreciate you. So
well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. I feel like the gray is showing. I go back and look at videos, and I go, holy crap, there was a lot more red there. But I feel like it's been pretty dry this year for me. In fact, almost the whole year, not just the last few months. But it's difficult because there's a great deal, and I've said this before, and I feel guilty for it, but I feel like I've got blood on my hands. I feel somewhat responsible for where we are today. For 20 years of reviewing jet skis and reviewing personal watercraft and highlighting different things and promoting certain stuff and getting people excited about, ooh, this has got a digital dash and it's full color and it's got a sound system and it's got this bell and whistle and it's got this and this and this and this. And suddenly I go, it's the line from Lord of the Rings, we dug too deep. And,
well, all that stuff. So what I've learned, and what this is about too today, is that all that tech, all that, that's a distraction from cuts that are being made to these machines underneath the seat that most consumers are clueless about. But people like me were discovering that these companies have raised the prices, lowered the quality, and we're not happy with the way these, just like you said. You look at, I've got 2 1990s. One is a Yamaha, got a WaveVenture 1100, and I've got a Kawasaki STX 1100. Those were the flagship 2-stroke machines in 1996, the largest, most powerful skis ever made by Yamaha and Kawasaki. You look at those skis, both of them have a label, a big label that says made in USA from domestic and Japanese components. Not a single clamp, not a single hose from China or Mexico in either of those machines. The hulls, thick hand-laid fiberglass with gel coat, one little display that gives you exactly what you need, and those machines, I mean, that WaveVenture, you could drop it from a 2-story building. It would just bounce. This one I have here sat outside. It's been outside for like 15 years. Okay.
Yeah.
It was, and I mean, you polish it out and it looks, good. And you go on eBay and, anyway, the problem is, there's a seismic shift, I think, as you just said. And there's a lot of guys who won't even buy a new machine. They just, Kawasaki, case in point, the 2019 310R was one of the last machines with all Japanese made components, like the throttle bodies, the wire harness, everything Japanese made. after that, and obviously corresponding with COVID, when supply chains kind of broke down, let's just say a supplier that was doing these quality parts for the last 15 years, that supplier couldn't meet demand. So these companies switched suppliers to China, and right. It's a shame because this all came about because of, I think a lot of people watching probably know, but of a wire harness issue with the new Kawasaki's.
Okay. So
before we mention that, I want to do, if it's okay with you, whoever gives you the best super chat, I would like to sponsor for them a genuine oil change kit for either Yamaha or Kawasaki. So you get the filter, you get the oil, everything you need, and it'll be shipped to you directly from Riva Motorsports.
Wow. Okay.
So you pick. It's dealer's choice. You pick the best super chat, and that whoever wins will email us, and on behalf of Watercraft Journal and JD's Waterworld, they're going to get an oil change kit for whatever Yamaha or Kawasaki jet ski they have.
That's awesome, that sound good? Guys. Okay. So in case you're not hip to what we're talking about, if you have a question for either myself or for JD, you want to ask a super chat, what we're going to do is we're going to try to keep the super chats towards the end, because we got a lot to talk about. JD and I have been exchanging text messages all day today, and I felt bad. I was like, okay, we got a lot of meat here. We got a lot of stuff to chew through. So the super chats, we're going to let them pool up. We're going to get a whole mess of them. So if you get your question and you get a super chat in, and the one that gets us really going, that super chat is going to get you a oil change kit.
It's like a $75 value, something like that. So
yeah, that's fantastic. For either a Kawasaki or a Yamaha, courtesy of Riva Racing and JD's Waterworld. Okay, well, that's awesome. I know we got 2 of them already, but we want to keep them pooling up, because I definitely want to have a nice collection of them so that we can really keep the conversation going.
All right, so I interrupted you, but I was bringing up the wire harness for Kawasaki.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a fantastic topic, and I think we need to. There's a lot of guys here who do not know the ins and outs of what's happening, and so if you can kind of give a little bit of a preface and then get into the wiring harness.
Sure.
This is important.
Sure. So basically, anytime they come out with a new vehicle, you're bound to have issues, whether it's a car or a plane. Look at Boeing. Any vehicle that comes out, you're going to have some growing pains. So the Ultra 310, obviously I took the risk and bought the redesigned machine, partially because, as everyone that owns the machine knows, the drivetrain, the jet pump, the hull, the platform is unchanged, which makes it, there's no wild cards there. I knew what I was getting with that. So as we alluded to in the beginning, everybody's throwing in these fancy electronics, right? So the Ultra 310 got a color TFT display. It got full CAN bus with a jog dial. We got LED lights, a backup camera. The LX trim's got a big stereo system. There's a KSRD system that has both a trim and a reverse actuator inside. I think that covers all the electronics. So everything I just
22 and up.
2022 is yes and up. Yeah. So every single one of those components that I just mentioned, not one of them's made in Japan or the United States, and you could guess where they're made, right? They're so needless to say, shortly after I got my machine, I had some, and just to as another preface, you hear everything on the forums, right? People, this is broken, that's none of the problems that anyone ever mentions are what I've had with my machine. Mechanically, it's been spot on. This wire harness, though, has been kind of the bane of my existence with this thing, and lots of other. So many people, Kevin, you don't know how frustrating it is, the number of emails I get from people, and anyway, Kawasaki became aware of this issue, and like a good company should, they issued a recall, voluntary. And I reached out to them, and they said, "Hey, listen, we had a manufacturing defect in the harness. We've revised the manufacturing process. Here's the new one. Everyone's getting a new one, complimentary. If you're under warranty or not, you're getting the new one, and you're good to go. You won't have any more problems." So I said, "Okay, great. Awesome." Anyhow, a year later, I began having, in fact, Kevin, I didn't mention this to you. My 7-year-old daughter was really wanting to go out on the jet ski. So it was a nice day. I called off of work a little bit early. I got a babysitter for my other kids. You know, my wife helped her with whatever. And I hook up everything. And always before I leave the house, I always fire up the ski for a minute, just, you know. So I go to fire up the ski and I hit the start button and it's just like click, click. And I'm like, well, that's weird because I maintain the machine, as you know, and I think as I've documented publicly, I maintain the machine impeccably by the book. So, you know, and I had a new battery. I was doing this thing with Steve from Kawi Performance. So I had this lithium battery. I'm like, it's not the battery. And, you know, of course I grabbed a multimeter. I'm like, the battery's good. And then I'm like, oh God, I'm like, don't tell me this is the harness. I'm like, no, it can't be the harness. It's got to be corrosion. Some clip got salt water in it. You know, when I was working on something, I shorted out a ground. I'm like, oh, it's a fuse. So needless to say, I'm there checking everything. And then of course, you know, it gets too late. I can't go out. And I was just like pissed. I'm like, wow, spent all this time maintaining this machine. I want to take it out with my daughter, take her out in the water, have a nice time. And so I was just pissed. So anyway, spent a couple hours doing some diagnostic, which I did some videos on just to help other people kind of see. And finally I said, okay. So I ripped the harness out of the ski, lay it out on my driveway, and it's like 8 feet long. And sit down with a razor blade and an X-Acto knife and cut the entire thing open. And I knew I'm like, oh, and then I find the splice. I sent you a photo of it.
Yeah.
That was the exact same problem I found the first time. And just so everyone knows, back in 2021, I was having these electrical issues. So a brand new ski, I take it to the dealer just to say, hey, the dealer could not diagnose the issue. So that was how this all started. I had to diagnose a wire harness issue, and then Kawasaki from then on issued the recalls and the repairs. So anyway, I just got very frustrated that this happened again.
Sure.
And I said, you know what? I'm not going to complain about this. I'm not going to moan. I'm just going to reach out to the company, right? Reach out to Kawasaki, who of course I would imagine would stand behind their product. And so I reach out to them. Actually, before that, I called my dealer. And there's a parts guy at the dealer. I've been doing, you know, and I call him and I say, hey, by the way, this is the issue. You guys have already got me 2 harnesses. And he's like, oh, you know, you have to call Kawasaki. He's like, you need to call them because I said, I don't want another of the exact same harness, right? If you're just going to keep sending me harnesses that have an inherent defect in the manufacturing process, I don't want another of the same one. I want an assurance that this was being addressed, right? That it actually has been fixed.
Sure.
So I reach out to Kawasaki. They say, oh, sir, hello, sir / and/or madam, please contact your Kawasaki. And you should see this. I sent a very detailed professional message. I said, hello, just so you know, I have this YouTube channel. I've diagnosed this issue. This is exactly where it's located in this splice. Here's I literally had the wire diagram down to exactly which components are. Anyway, hello, sir and/or madam, please reach out to your dealer for repairs on your Kawasaki personal watercraft. You know, I'm like, no, I already fixed it. I don't want you to fix it. I'm trying to tell you that you have a problem and I'd like to help you fix it so your customers and your fans can have a safe, reliable machine. Right. So this started I went to the guys on my channel. I said, hey, anyone that's having this issue, please contact Kawasaki because they're not taking me seriously. And all the guys I know, just like Kevin, everyone I know that knew someone in Kawasaki, they've all retired.
Yep.
There's a gentleman I'm doing some promotions with. He's in Poland and in France. They knew the chief engineers for Kawasaki. Everybody's retiring or has retired. And I reached out so many times. I mean, I sent all these emails. They just stopped responding. I'm like, this isn't a dating website. You can't just ghost me. I'm a customer. Right. You know, I'm not just I don't just review these products. I own them, right? I spent a lot of money. I own, you know, a lot of Kawasaki products. And as a customer, they owe me a response. That's why I'm a customer, right? If I owned a business and I had customers, you treat them with dignity and respect. That's what you do. So one, they didn't treat me with either of those things. After I discovered multiple manufacturing defects in their product, anyway, I said, to hell with them. I tried. It's documented. If someone gets injured or hurt, I did my part to try to alert the company to make this right. I even told them, I said, hey, your response I'm going to post to my channel which is, you know, a huge network of Kawasaki enthusiasts from across the world. And I wanted to come back and tell everybody, hey guys, Kawasaki stepped up. You know, they're going to fix this. They're going to issue, you know, whatever. And they let me down so badly. And it's not even me that they let down. It's the thousands of people that are Kawasaki fans, which, as you know, is a teeny minority, right? That keeps their brand alive. And anyway, so I start getting emails from people from my channel. Hey, I had a fuel pump issue. Hey, I had a electronics issue. Hey, and Kawasaki ghosted me too. And I took it to my dealer, and the dealer couldn't fix it. They told me. So anyway, back to your point that there's, you know, some issues in the industry. It's I mean, you have a problem with the machine. That is fine. Every single personal watercraft ever made since Clayton Jacobson has had a problem, right? That's what we do. We find problems, we identify them, we fix them. We're always improving. But for a company to ghost and ignore its customers' legitimate concerns is unacceptable, man. You know, I mean, so anyway, so I have two buddies down here. They're both named Mike. Okay, they were just when I got my Kawi, they said, hey, this thing is durable. This thing is, you know, they do ocean riding. They're like, we're gonna get the 310. So they each got, one had a 310. They both had 310Xs actually, 2022s. And one issue after another, you know, we had anyway. They called me one day. They're like, "Oh, we both sold the Kawis. We got FX SVHOs."
Interesting.
And I'm like, you know, okay. I'm the only, when I ride, and anyone that rides with me that's in here will tell you, I'm usually the only Kawasaki. If I see another one, I go up to them, and almost every, you know, it's a small group of really diehard Kawasaki fans are pretty tight knit.
Right.
And you know, I mean, I love the machine. I think the Ultra 310, I think the hull is the most durable and solid hull for ocean riding. The FX is a great ski, but it's not the Ultra 310. And I have some interesting notes here. We talked about it briefly with the speed numbers, and so I'll get to that. But so I joke with my friends. I'm like, hey, maybe I'll get an FX. You know, maybe I'll get one. So people started texting me, oh, Riva's having a manager special on this one. Oh, you know, I just bought one from, you know, they'll hook you up, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, one thing led to another, and you know, so now I bought one.
So and you bought an FX SVHO.
I bought a 2025 FX SVHO. And
now, did you clear out? Did you sell any others, or did you trade in your Kawi, or what?
No. Keeping the 310. I can't. I won't get rid of it. Can't get rid of it. I love the ski. I do, despite the problems with Kawasaki corporate. It's a great machine.
Okay.
And besides the electrical issues that, you know, can be repaired if they step up and do it right. It's a repairable problem. We're not having major engine failures or a defect in the design of the hull or the engine. No. It's something they did right for so long, and then screwed it up.
Right.
And so to that point, I've been at a couple Kawasaki dealers recently looking at the quality of the new machines. And for anyone that doesn't know, in 2024, Kawasaki, after manufacturing jet ski watercraft in the United States since 1973, in fact, they were the first Japanese company to open a factory like that in the United States. They moved their factory to a new multi-million-dollar brand new facility down in Mexico, following the trend of Ford and Stellantis. Kevin, you know the list, all these companies, one after another, laying off all their workers, moving down to Mexico. Great.
Right.
So, you know, it's sad. It's sad. So, Yamaha is the only personal watercraft that I'm proud to say is still made in the United States in Noonan, Georgia.
Right. That's correct.
So when I was considering purchasing an additional machine, I said, listen, Kawasaki as a corporation, it's hard for me to recommend their Mexican-made products because I personally, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I'm not saying the quality is any worse than the US-made ones. All I'm saying is that personally, my principles, I would rather purchase a machine that was made here in the United States. I live in the United States. I was born here. My family lives here. That's how I purchase vehicles typically.
Right.
And again, it's not about the country of origin necessarily. It's about the quality. Mexican manufacturing is not necessarily known for their quality, right? Maybe they'll get there someday. Are they better than China manufacturing? Maybe. So it's hard for me to recommend these ultras because they have so many, and with the wire harness thing, like that's an open question, right? So I said the FX is a ski that, yes, it has its known issues, but I'm seeing more and more guys get these new SMC FXs, HOs with the 1.9 and FX, the 1800, and they're not really having that many issues. And they're telling me, JD, there's less maintenance, and JD, the dealer takes care of me, and JD, I call Yamaha customer service, which, by the way, Kevin, has won the NMMA award for customer service for, I think, since it's been conceived, the award. So Yamaha's got, really, they take care of their enthusiasts and their customers. And I've always been a Yamaha guy. I've had plenty of Yamaha skis. So I thought it was the right fit to bring it into my channel and start doing maintenance tutorials and rides and really doing a real life comparison of how the Ultra 310 and the FX SVHO, how they really compare. Not, keyboard jockey, blah, blah, blah. This is like ride the snot out of this thing, take care of it, but use it. And let's see if all these things that are being said are true.
Okay.
I got to know for myself. I can't take someone's word for it. Let's put this thing to the test, right? And let's see, how it does.
Well, that's one of the best things that that I've known about you, and that subscribers to your channel can all attest to, is the fact that are you out of Jupiter, the Jupiter Inlet? Is that where you
Jupiter, Florida,
right out of?
Yep.
Okay. So which is one of the rougher inlets.
It's in the top 5 most dangerous inlets in Florida. So
okay. And you are constantly out in open ocean. So you are certainly not gentle with your machines. And that is something that really drew me towards you, was the fact that it wasn't just like, hey, I'm cruising with a group of 30 people and we're just kind of farting around. That's not your jam. You're out there in a helmet, you're in full race gear, you're in full safety gear, and you're pinning the hell out of it going out in white caps. So I was like, okay, he's a man of my heart. I like this. So that was something, and we had conversations about Kawasaki's for years, and what do you think about this, and what do you think of that, and so for you to make the jump to FX, I was like, hey, listen, the FX has clearly proven itself as an offshore vehicle. All right. It clearly has. And as being a stout racecraft. And in those conditions, in rough conditions, you see guys out in Lake Erie, I'm thinking of all the
the Great Lakes. I mean, they've got
Great Lakes racing, Aqua X racing, really heavy conditions. The FX is a fantastic platform. It's lightweight, power to weight ratio is great, ergonomics are great. I have my concerns solely. My sole concern is literally the paint, and that's it.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because mine too, right? I've heard you talk about it for years. That I owned a 2021 Yamaha FX, right, with the Nano XL hull, and my hull delaminated, and that was when I got the Kawis, right?
Right.
Because I was like, I can't ride this. This doesn't hold up to the type of riding I do. I just can't. Never had a problem with the drivetrain. No. I mean, the Yamaha pumps cavitate. That's another issue that everyone knows, and it can be addressed with the aftermarket. But
that's a design issue.
That's not, it's got so much. Riva luckily has a lot of parts to basically eliminate it, and it's a well-known, documented issue, right? That we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's not going to sneak up on you.
Yeah.
So if you're 21, you experienced the worst of the worst that you see on Facebook, you see on Instagram, the people who do complain about the Yamaha hull material, the Nano 2 and the paint and the lamination, you experienced it firsthand.
Yes, but this is the thing. 2022, everything changed. Yamaha switched the hull to an SMC, and Yamaha has experience making fiberglass hulls. Back in the day, everybody had a fiberglass hull, Sea-Doo included. cost-cutting measures, also weight-cutting measures. The previous FX for $1,200, you could get the SVHO up to Stage 1 Plus was about 80 miles an hour on the Nano Excel hull. That's why people love it. But when you're riding in the ocean, you don't much get, if you're going 53 and it's like 4-foot chop, then that's fast in the ocean. But anyway, so Billy, you know, I know he said he had a bounce, but I talked to Billy. Billy rides with all these guys with FXs. I do a lot of work actually. And I'll tell you about this. Waves RX is an incredible sponsor of my channel. They ride FXs. My buddies down here traded in their Kawis for FXs. Another buddy of mine was actually at Riva at the exact same time as me, trading in his GP for an FX manager special. Anyway, so I've talked to so many people, and the first thing I say is, and I've asked the dealers at Riva, I asked Riva, I asked all the guys there, the service department, are you having issues with the paint on these new SMC Yamahas? And the resounding answer that I've gotten from everybody, and the reason why I went ahead and spent the money I did on this purchase, was they say, no, it's not really an issue. I'm not having issues. We're not seeing issues. Now, keep in mind, the top deck is Nano Excel too. I think you mentioned that.
Correct.
So if you get a chip in the top deck, you got to address it before it has a chance to start debriding. But the hull surface, if you go around, I have it next to the Kawi on the trailer. So obviously I was there knocking on both. I got the guys from Riva. They came out. I'm like, knock here, knock there, stand on the deck. Because a lot of them had never even touched a 310. They only sell Sea-Doos and Yamahas.
Funny, yeah.
Riva's a big Kawasaki dealer, but, they sell 6 in a year, where the FX, they probably sell, 20, 30, whatever. Right. And I'm like, knock on the Kawi. And the Kawi, of course, you could have 5 guys jumping up and down on it, and it wouldn't flex at all. The FX, the Nano's a little bit, you jump on it and it's springy. And the hull is real solid, but you knock on it and it's just not as thick as the Kawasaki. And that's for weight. Obviously, they're trying to, get that power to weight ratio just right. Speaking of which, you mentioned the offshore, the Marcon, this past Marcon, right? 2025. Right. The top 10 spots, 6 were Kawasaki Ultra 310s and 4 were Yamaha FX. I could be mistaken. Someone could fact check me, but the top 6 were Kawi, 100%. And the remaining, I believe, were all FX. And I don't think Sea-Doo was placed. There might have been 1 Sea-Doo, but it was only like 1, or it might have been 2 Sea-Doos and 2 Yamahas. But either way, the Kawis by far, in terms of offshore or endurance, they're really taking, they're making a wave. And part of that is what I mentioned to you earlier with the Riva stage kits. The interesting thing is that it costs about half to get the Ultra 310 to 80 miles an hour than it does for the FX. And I don't know if people realize that.
Okay, so that's an interesting, that's a very interesting comment that you made, because right now, I mean, conventional wisdom would tell you that because of the deep V hull of the Kawi, how much water, how much actual drag, how much hull is in the water, that it would require significantly more parts, products, tuning to get that Ultra up to 80 miles an hour. It's heavier, there's more drag. Yes. But look at you got visual aids.
I'm going to tell you why it does.
Okay, and then the Yamaha, hey, it's skimming across the water. It's got a more efficient, larger displacement engine. A lot of people would be like, oh, heartbeat, 80 miles an hour on FX. That's easy breezy. But sure enough, and I know you're doing work with Riva. Yep. I'm just teeing you up here. But okay. The idea is a lot of people go, oh, man, it's so easy to go 80 miles an hour and cheap to do it with a Yamaha compared to – now, we're not talking about Sea-Doo, so don't get –
yeah, I'll just jump in and say that the Sea-Doo 325 for $700 you can go 80 miles an hour. Okay, so the Sea-Doo wins, but guys that are buying an FX and an Ultra 310 would not be, are not in the same class. They're not buyers for that craft. So, on flat water, perfectly flat water, you see Callus and they've got those crazy Sea-Doos out there on Stub Canal in West Palm here. So they, that skis for that type of, you know, that type of riding. It does it well and cheap. But
so what do you have here prepared?
So this is what I want everybody to do. If anyone goes to rivaracing.com and you go to their performance kits and you go to Ultra 310 and you go to stage 3, there's like 4 components there. Okay, it's almost hilarious. This right here is the Riva Racing stage 3 pulley. And this is the only supercharger mod that's needed to get the Ultra 310 up to, I think it's almost 20 pounds of boost.
Almost, yeah.
And that's only 8,400 RPM as well, by the way. The FX is going to run almost 9,000 RPM at that same speed. But this is also, so everyone knows if you're riding in saltwater, right, you need stainless steel. I mean, stainless steel hardware, stainless steel. So this is Riva's stainless steel idler pulley, the Ultra 310. So these two parts together make up, I believe it's the K3 Riva Racing pulley kit. And that, Kevin, is the heart and soul of how the Ultra 310 is able to squeeze out 80 miles an hour for just over $2,200.
Well, I think you're leaving out something rather significant.
Well, there's of course the tune. There's the Riva tune. There's the Riva ride plate. There's some modifications to the BOV. And there's a prop.
Okay, so here's the thing. Kawi lives and dies by its hull design. All right, it's the number one seller. It's the number one thing that I advocate. It's the number one thing that.
That's why people buy them. You buy it for that hull. That's why you buy it.
Riva's website just damn near crashed my whole podcast trying to get their stupid website up. Okay, never mind.
People can open it at home. You don't.
They can do it at home. So I've been singing the praises of the Ultra Hull for years. That's what I raced on when I raced for Kawi, and it's all what we've been talking about. But the thing is that what makes the Kawi such a winner in rough water is the fact that it has that deep V hull and a lot of displacement. But the problem is that it's not conducive to high speed. So that ride plate, which shares a lot of the DNA that was first pioneered back in 08, 09, and 10 with Tim Bushman Racing and Dustin Farthing, they've extended that runner an extra 3.5 inches out of the back. In fact, from the factory plate to the Riva plate, it's 3.5 inches. I know that K-Speed has done something rather impressive with theirs, and that it's a progressive ramp. But the trick for the Riva ramp is to not only extend that runner out, but to totally change the attitude. What's attitude? Attitude is how the ski sits in the water. And the idea is that ride plate is getting that bow out of the water, and that gets it up onto plane faster. So,
Kevin, while you're talking, pull up my channel and open the last video I posted.
Yeah, I actually watched. Oh, no. Here we go.
I literally just did a comparison. It's good you're talking about it because I did a comparison of the K-Speed, the Riva, and the OEM ride plates. And it's right there. It says 2022 Ultra 310. Yeah, I posted it like
there you go.
So that one right there, exactly what you're saying. I just had the K-Speed plate for a year. I ran it for a little over a year. It's a great plate, great design. I've got the Riva plate now only because I'm doing all these features at Riva, so I felt like it's an accurate comparison, right, to have the matched components that they advertise, right? So people can anyway. So that you were right on with your measurement. I think the Riva plate's 18 inches, and the stock plate is 15 inches.
All I really knew was the extended ramp.
The stock one has a 5-inch ramp, and the Riva plate, the taper at the ramp is about 10 inches.
Right. So all that being said is that extended running surface and at the 3-degree angle, because I believe it's a 3-degree angle, the 3 to 5 degree is supposed to bring that bow up. And so once you bring that bow up, you're able to free up a lot of running surface. So with, like you said, the prop or impeller, I still call it a prop. impeller, ride plate, tune, supercharger pulley wheel, and what was the other thing?
There's a BOV block off plate that just because the Kawi has a relief valve and a BOV. It has two basically. And then Riva recommends a certain Solus prop. And but you can get the speed that they advertise. We've been seeing some numbers without the prop.
Oh, okay.
But they recommend to have that. The Solus prop is a little bit thinner than the OEM one, so it has a little more flex. So I guess the pitch, the stock Kawasaki impeller is it's stainless steel and it's extremely thick.
Okay.
So it's a little hard to repitch it. But Glenn at Impros, I'm gonna have him do some work on some impellers too and try out a couple different things.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So
you're seeing 80 miles an hour out of 4 parts.
Not on my ski yet, but Riva's seeing that on their test skis, and I will be attempting to replicate those results. Now, okay, so we talked about that 2200 figure from Riva, right?
Right.
That's what Riva, that'll get you to 80, right? That's what it will. But I said, okay, I don't want to just throw these components on my machine and encourage other people to do this. I got to know that I'm going to be able to have the same recreational usage of this. It's not a race machine, right? It's designed to take out, I ride 150 hours a year. We want to take it out. I don't want this to be unreliable because of all these, crazy mods. So what I started with was the supporting mods, right? I didn't just throw the stage 3 on. I started with the cold air intake. I started with the exhaust filter bypass. I started with the Kawi Performance Saltwater Series tensioner. I started with all these different things. The biggest thing, and this is another thing like we alluded to in the beginning of the call here, Kawasaki cheaped out on the fuel pump for these skis. And anyone in the comments that has one of these that's worked on the machine will tell you that the fuel pump is garbage that they put in the 2022 Plus Ultra 310s. Okay. And what they did is they took a modular pump that they use for their Terex and they stuck it in the Ultra 310. And it's a Mitsubishi UC T35. It's this teeny little pump, right? Half the size of the previous generation. This pump can barely keep up with the stock tune. Okay, just barely. Right. And I know this because with Kawi Performance, Steve welded me up custom manifold with a Bosch wideband sensor. I've got PLX and using Riva Map Tuner, we've been logging data across stock tune, Riva Stage 1, Riva Stage 2. Soon I'll be doing Riva Stage 3. But I needed to know that this engine with all the mods was going to have, a rich AFR, that I wasn't going to risk causing any engine damage. Because as you know, the Ultra 310s, if you run them lean, they blow up the pistons, right. Because so much boost. You got so much boost from that Eaton TVS supercharger that, so needless to say, Steve at Kawi Performance developed an incredible fuel pump mod, right? The first, you might have run an article on it, I think, Kevin. I can't remember now.
Possibly.
But because I know we've done a lot of his parts. I've done some features, and his fuel pump is what. And I've talked to Riva about this, and they are kind of on board with they understand that they need to come up with a solution for the fuel pump in these skis. But I said in my video, I'm like, look, if you're going to go over stage 1, you need to upgrade that fuel pump. It needs to be 250. You're a car guy, so this makes sense to you as well. Kawasaki's only running 100 liter per hour pump with 300, right. And with the Riva, this pulley, and Riva's got the dyno. It's about 350 horsepower that ski is producing with so 350 horsepower can't be supported on 100 liters per hour in any universe, any car, they'll tell you that. So how could they run? And that pump, by the way, another vehicle it's in is a naturally aspirated Mitsubishi Galant sedan. So how could a Galant how could that have the same pump as my direct drive Ultra 310 that's running, at 8,000 RPM. Yeah. So anyway, Steve developed this pump. I went back and forth with him. We did all this R&D, and we've been running the AFR values and checking the lambda. And I actually posted the results for the stage 1, really straightforward with it. I posted all the boosts. I posted the mega data log viewer chart because no one posts that stuff. It's like a secret. I'm like, hey, I want to know. I'm a customer, I want to know that this tune is, I want to see the values. And so I posted those results. And I'll be doing more with them, but really to do the supporting mods is there's a cost to it, obviously. So that 2,200 number does jump up a little bit, right? To be a safe stage 3.
Right.
But let's talk about the FX for a minute. Okay. You think, right? Oh, the FX can be made to go really fast for relatively cheap because Yamaha's, there's a huge aftermarket. Well, if you're going with Riva, I mean, a lot of the components that you add to the FX come standard on the Ultra 310.
Correct.
Blow off valve.
Right.
Oil separator. The intercooler on the Ultra 310 can support a 400 horsepower. It's just, you've seen it. It's a massive.
You're not changing that out.
No, the cooling system on the Kawi. The Kawi has 3 separate feeds from the jet pump. One that goes to the supercharger, one that goes to the intercooler, one that goes to the stator output housing that goes to the oil cooler. And I think did I say the supercharger? The supercharger transmission has its own cooling circuit on the Kawasaki. So the Kawasaki runs. I ride the snot out of it. You have good synthetic oil, and it could handle. It keeps the oil at a really stable temp. So again, people look at the price. They're like, "Oh, the Kawi's so much more." Well, it comes with $3,000 worth of parts that you're going to end up having to add to the FX. Right. Yeah. And I'm telling you this because I'm about to add these parts to my FX now. I've got them.
You're putting a catch can on. You're putting an engine breather on. You're putting a blow off valve on. You're putting in.
I'm going to be upgrading the intercooler. Riva's got a power cooler with a built. Yeah, I'm going to be doing all these mods to the FX, but I'm going to do the supporting. People like to. You said it's like the channels are like, look at me, I'm on a jet ski, fancy music, snap my fingers, show a montage, and the stage 3 is done. Right? That's how I'm going to do. One step at a time. Test, because the problem too is you throw on all these mods and then you have a problem. Well, now you've got a Frankenski that no one could diagnose.
Correct.
I get emails all the time. They're like, "Oh, I have the K-Speed this and the Riva that and the Kawi Performance this, and I made this part and this one I got from my uncle's cousin's brother, sister. Why doesn't my ski run right?" And I'm like, "Well, you're got to take it all back, and then one thing at a time." So I'm kind of trying to show, hey, you do these supporting mods, right? People just want that instant gratification of the speed but you gotta, you work up to it. And if you have a problem, you could say, "Oh, wait a second, that part I put on caused this problem. Take it back off, readjust your action plan." So I don't want to just throw everything on here and have Riva's got that. Yeah, go ahead.
What I was just gonna say is that people have a really bad tendency of shooting the parts cannon at their ski or their car or
oh yeah.
And so it's like, they install 11 things, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, this thing runs like shit. And you're like, well, congratulations. Now you have to undo everything.
Exactly.
So it's like you said, the most advantageous thing you can do as a content creator and as a partner with any manufacturer, whether it's Kawi Performance, whether it's K-Speed, whether it's Riva, whether whomever it is to be able to be useful, be educational. So if you're able to go, okay, listen, this video, we are making the following change. Then we're going to data log. Okay, great. The next video, we're going to do this, or we're going to do 2 things here, or 1 thing here, or 3 things here. And you do it in piecemeal. Instead, you have videos who go out there and they're like, oh, we put a full stage 3 on this Sea-Doo, and they go out there and they run 92 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden it grenades itself. And they go, well, this thing's a piece of shit. And you're like, no.
Well, people aren't honest. The other thing I've noticed is I've seen a lot of channels because I watch what's out there. I've seen channels where they get an FX. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did that. Oh, they did a turbo. And then the videos just stop.
Yes.
And I'm like, hey, that last video was 11 months ago. And what happened to the ski?
Yeah.
I
wonder.
So I try to be with everything here. I try to be straightforward with everybody. I'm like, hey, the wire harness. I love Kawasaki. Should I, pretend it doesn't exist to make it look better? Like, no, I'm going to tell you the truth. And because if the machine is a piece of crap, I'm going to let you know. Because if I think it's, I don't want a machine that's. Speaking of that, some people buy new machines and they come with problems, right? That no one could fix. If that happened to me, I just. Don't even mess with it, right? If it's unfixable machine that came with an issue like that from the dealer or whatever, you could be chasing. Yeah, life's too short, and we do this for fun, right? These are big toys. I mean, it's your stress relief. It's your blue health. So if you have a machine that's causing stress, then life's too short. Just get rid of it. Don't dwell on it. I mean, I know financially it's easier said than done, right? You buy a new ski. What are you going to do? Take a huge loss on it financially. You know, sometimes you can't. But there's something else I want to show you, Kevin, here. I got all these, I grabbed all this stuff because no one shows this stuff, you know, like this stuff isn't out there. And it's, so this right here is the Kawasaki Ultra 310 service manual. Okay.
Oh, funny. All right.
Let's look, just look at this. Look how thick it is. Okay. This manual is only Ultra 310, one model. Okay. It's almost 2 inches thick. All right. This is the Yamaha HO SVHO WaveRunner FX WaveRunner manual. It's half as thick as the Kawasaki manual. You see that?
Yeah.
I can't make this up. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the Ultra 310, despite being an incredible machine, it has a lot of maintenance. Anyone that owns it will tell you that, right? A lot of maintenance. The book's twice the size.
Or one is far more detailed than the other book.
So guess what? I am so impressed. I texted Steve. I was like, I am so impressed with the Yamaha manual. I gotta tell you, it's really great. And I say that because, and I'm probably geeking out here on you. The Yamaha manual, this is the genius of the engineers. If you want to look at the wiring diagram for the Yamaha manual, it folds out like a Playboy, like a centerfold here. It's color-coded, high-def, color-coded, okay? I just want to say, no one from Yamaha is probably listening, but thank you, Yamaha. Thank you for this service manual because it's really good. Oh, now, good. Kawasaki, these guys that wrote Kawasaki, this was written on a Friday maybe. Friday at like 3:30, they were like, oh, you know, we put together the wire harness diagram for you to see and figure out how to diagnose our defective harness. Here you go. And then they make it go across the binding of the book. So I got to find here my Rain Man. When I was diagnosing the harness, I had to go through with a pen and trace every single wire that went to the splice so I could test each component to see if it was a bad wire, if it was a bad splice, you know? Anyway,
well, don't expect Kawasaki to pay for color printing.
Hey, Yamaha, I mean, and the manuals are the same price. Of course, oh, here you go. Here's my Rain Man. Here's my Kawasaki colored wire harness. And then you get to here and you're like, oh, how do I get across now? Look at this. The guy who did this went through the motions. They're like, oh, we have to print the wire harness in the manual, but no one's ever going to look at that. It has to be in there, though. Anyway, I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. That
is funny.
The manual for the Ultra is twice the thickness. Hey, you might get a kick out of this too. This is an Ultra 310 oil filter, okay? I change mine every 25 hours just because I'm paranoid. This right here is an FX SVHO oil filter. The Kawi one could fit inside this FX one. It's twice the capacity. I don't know if you guys could see that. Look at that. And the factory interval is the same, 50 hours. So that makes you think, why? And also, this one's made in China. This one's made in Thailand, basically China, but not quite. So what do you think about that? What's your take on that, Kevin? Why is the Kawi so small compared to this FX SVHO filter?
Because it hasn't changed since 2004.
Yeah, but the Kawi, the engine has changed. I mean, 2004. No. Okay, I guess that's a little bit longer. Yeah,
that motor has not changed besides some very minor things. They've, obviously they've opened up, they opened up some oil all the oil circuits and the cooling circuits in 2014. But that motor is 21 years old, 22 years old.
Well, that's the Japanese, that's the Japanese way. I mean, like the case in point.
Yamaha is Japanese.
I know. Well, I'm saying that's the Japanese way. Case in point, I have a Toyota 4Runner, 1GR. I know how you feel about Toyota with them all at the, but I've got a 4Runner. It's got the 1GR FE engine, which the same thing. Toyota didn't want to change it. It's so reliable. They kept that platform for the same time because they're like, hey, it works. We don't want to do any drastic change that's going to cause, a major loss of reliability.
Yeah, but then Yamaha comes around. Yamaha is making updates on the 1.8 and we had the SHO, SVHO, and now we're at the 1.9. The 1.9 will be eventually the modified supercharged. I don't think they're going to use the same acronym. I think I've heard that they're going to call it something else. You know, I have to give credit where credit's due. When Yamaha, I mean, I gotta say it, you know, they got tuning forks in their own logo, and you sit there and you go, "This is an engine company, and they're taking this seriously." And don't get me wrong, Yamaha, you know, Yamaha won't pick its nose unless its lawyers say it's okay. So that's number one. But number two is they try to make changes where the changes, you know, they obviously don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so they do make minor changes. Obviously, when they were, you know, when they were having timing chain problems back in 13 and 14 and 15, well, no, it was 12, 13, 14. They finally, it took some weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth for them to finally fix the timing chain.
Well, their supercharger clutch, you know, their supercharger clutch, they've revised a dozen, you know,
right. And they were having cylinder head cracking. And so they tried to, you know, they tried to fill out the bosses a little thicker, and they tried to make changes here, there, and for the most part, they've made good changes until it said, boys, we've nudged the ball far enough. We have to make a new mold. And that's when you have the new cylinder head for the 1.9.
Sure.
And the 1.9 changes. I mean, I sat there with Anderson Dick of Fuel Tech with both.
Yeah, I saw your
And
well, the oiling issue was a big thing that that you guys, you know, demonstrated. I know Greg talks a lot about that too. You know, with all that. So
yeah, I sat there with a set of digital mics and sat there and was like, okay, and we just measured it all out. And I was like, hey man, credit where credit's due. I mean, the problem is that you can't expect everyone to be an engine guy, or you can't expect everyone to be, you know, a hull design guy. I'm a hull design geek. I love hull design. And
I remember your whiteboard with the different drawings on it.
And I've done, I mean, how many times I have my baby, you know, my kids.
Oh yeah, the Barbie boat, the
Barbie bath, and all these stupid little things that I've done, where I've drawn all over the Barbie bath, and I've done dry race boards, and I've talked about, you know, turning apexes and all these different things. It's because I love hull design. I love displacement. I love all that kind of stuff. The hydrodynamics of hull design elates me. It's very, you know, but I can't expect everyone to go down that rabbit hole. And the same thing goes for engines. And not everyone's an engine guy. A lot of people are enthusiasts and they want to be fast, or they want to be quick, or they want to do X, Y, Z. But you and I have a responsibility to articulate our findings in a way that communicates to the guy who is not the hull design, the engine guy, or the offshore racer, or whomever. So when we describe, hey, this is what it does at this speed, and this is what the boat does at this speed, and this is what it does here, XYZ, this is what we're encountering. For example, I'll give you a good example. ST3 Sea-Doo hull. I'm one of the first guys to go, the son of a bitch bow hunts. Mm-hmm. And Jerry Gaddis, because it was before Greg, Jerry called me and he goes, bow hunt. That is the perfect description. And it was funny because suddenly he was using it and Greg was using it. And then you had guys from Boating, you know, magazine using it. And you had Power Sports Industry. They would use bow hunt. And I sat there and I go, I know I'm patient zero when it comes to using that phrase, bow hunt. Not that I'm like, look at me, crown me the king. But it was, this is the best. And it might be.
You've been talking about it for a while. You've been talking about that, you know, so.
But the most reassuring thing that I get is when I get a phone call or an email or a text message. I don't get phone calls because I hide my number. But I get, you know, I'll get an email and someone goes, I thought you were full of shit for 2 years straight until I got caught in a really rough patch. And all of a sudden the ski started doing this. And I went, that damn ginger was right. And I go, good. I giggle a little bit because I'm like, I wish I wasn't. I wish that, you were not in that situation. I'm sorry that you've come to hate the ski you bought, but that's what my responsibility is. And I think all of us who review and take a closer look at these machines, and it doesn't matter if it was motorcycles, quads, side-by-sides, or pogo sticks, as long as we're evaluating these things honestly, hopefully the consumer and those people who subscribe to our channels are able to go, okay, I like what they're saying. That makes sense. Not that we're asking you to take our word blindly. I'm not looking to be a shepherd, and I do not need sheep. But I'm hoping, like you said, and you've said it twice already, you want to warn or at least equip these people with knowledge before making a decision. And
exactly.
That way they can assess for themselves, be an adult, pull up your big boy pants, you make the choice. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But you can make the choice going, is the juice worth the squeeze? Do I want to get this ski? Do I want to modify this ski? How far do I want to modify this ski? That's it. That's the conversation we're having.
Yeah. Well, and there's also two types of mods. And there's this, and people don't care. The reliability mods are not sexy. People don't care.
Oh, they're not sexy. No.
I upgraded all my exhaust manifold bolts to 316 stainless steel, and then they're like, oh, well, how fast does it make you go? And I'm like, so half of it, a lot of people, probably 80% of people should focus on those durability mods first, right? If they want. But then again, there's the people who buy a ski every couple of years, they trade it and get a new one and they don't really care. Oh, those bolts rust, it doesn't matter because I'm just going to, get rid of it. So if you're going to do that, whatever. But
they park it at the lake house. The grandkids use it. They don't care.
And it's like, look, I jump to say, oh, like the Sea-Doo Spark is garbage. That might be true for me, but that doesn't mean that there's not someone out there who that's the perfect machine for them, and so part of me, I have to keep that in mind a little bit more because I just go in blindly and I'm like, oh, the Ultra 310, it's the best for the ocean riding. It's the best for the type of riding that I do. If you're a 17-year-old girl and you're at the lake, then the Spark is probably better. The Ultra 310 is not a good ski for you.
Would you like me to wax poetic about the hate that I got on my review of the Explorer Pro? Because I looked at that and I go, oh, okay. Because in my old age, being 47, don't get me wrong, I'm not Father Time here, but I'm realizing that the jet skis, the watercraft that nurtured me and brought me into the sport 35 years ago, don't exist. And you have to make this very conscious effort to go, I don't want any of this. I'm going over here. And so in the sense that the reason I emotionally rejected the Explorer Pro was similar to your rejection of the Spark or the Jet Blaster for what your interests are and your use is. So I looked at the Explorer Pro and I said, it's not a jet ski. It's transportation. It's a Dodge Caravan. Well,
you see the people that put the floats, they put now those inflatable floats around the
ribs. Yeah, they're putting ribs on. And I sit there and I'm like, my knee-jerk reaction, my troll reaction, my inner troll wants to be like, rah, and I want to dump hate on that picture. And I want to eviscerate that owner. And I sit there and I go, that's not who I am. And that's not what interests me. And I feel like Cartman on South Park. I'm like, screw you guys. I'm going home. And I realized, and it was funny. I hate to give Joe so much damn credit, But Joe Hill, that interview that I did with Joe Hill, I was like, I think he's right. And so suddenly I just spent Facebook Marketplace looking at old skis. And then Greg Gaddis goes out and buys an XPS. And I went, oh, son of a bitch. Okay. And then he goes, hey, I got an extra one. You want it? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, all right, you need to come and get it. I'm like, okay. I haven't gotten it yet. But it was so funny was that I got a phone call. Like I was literally making dinner one night for the family. I was at the stove and my phone rang and I'm sitting there and I'm like, who the hell's calling me from Clearwater? Or no, it wasn't Clearwater. I can't remember where it was. But I was like, who's calling me? And I pick up the phone and he's like, and of course it's Ernesto. And Ernesto on the phone, I'm deaf. All right. Too many years drag racing to be around cars. I'm deaf as a doornail. My kids know that I'm deaf. And that's why I'm so damn loud. Because I can't hear myself. So, it's like when you have headphones on, you're screaming and people are like, why are you yelling? You take your earbuds out. But I pick up the phone. I'm like, and he goes, hey, Kevin, it's Ernesto. And I go, all right, Ernesto, how you doing? And he says, I got an idea. And I go, oh yeah. And he goes, let's build some classic jet skis. Let's build some old jet skis this year. And I'm like, I don't want to. And I had real bad taste in my mouth. And it was because, and I don't mind sharing this. And this is, I actually said it to you before we started the show, was what made the Watercraft Journal have its momentum right out of the gate was the fact that I had multiple insiders working in corporate for all the manufacturers. I knew half a dozen guys inside Kawi. I knew same amount of guys in Yamaha. I knew 4, 5, 6 guys inside Sea-Doo, and people in the test center. I knew all sorts of people.
Sure.
So just because of my years racing and doing the other magazines and stuff like that. So it was very, very easy to have behind the scenes knowledge of what was going on with the manufacturers. And that's really what kind of gave us the edge. And I also had access to all of the Watercraft because of these contacts. Well, one by one, they either got fired, they went to other jobs, they retired, they got aged out. And unfortunately, I now look and I go, I have nobody. All my guys are gone. And that's why I've jokingly said, I'm like, I'm the last guy at the party just kind of hanging out. And they're like, you should go home now. But to that effect, and why I'm ranting like this is while I don't have that inside access to Yamaha, Sea-Doo, Kawi, what I do have access to is a Parthenon of heroes of the racetrack. And all these guys, people I've had on the show, people that I've, who didn't want to be on the show. They're like, I don't care. I'm not relevant. And I had quite a few people who are big names who literally said, who cares? No one wants to talk about this. And they turned me down. And I was like, wow, okay. Because they didn't care. Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, multi championship winning guys. I was like, dude, I'm begging you. And they're like, nah, dude, I'm busy doing this, or I got this going on. And, I've moved on. It's been 10 years. It's been 15 years. It's been 20 years. Nobody cares. Okay, cool. But I sat there and I go, all right, these skis, any performance ski, I mean, do you mind me asking what that, I'm not going to ask you what you paid, but you mind me asking what that SVHO retailed for that you just bought?
20,000.
20 grand.
The Kawis were the same.
Yeah. So $20,000.
Someone asked me, I think if you're in, and again, I got a special deal, right? And if you want to ask
what you paid, but just
yeah. Well, I'm just saying the range, because I actually called quite a few dealerships to get buyer's orders before I made my decision, just to be educated. In South Florida here in Palm Beach County, you could expect to be out the door on a 2025 FX SVHO between about 20 and 22.5, depending
That's kind
on
of what I thought.
yeah, a 2024 model. In fact, I told you I ran into a buddy of mine that was at Riva at the exact same time as me. Take about $2,000 off, and that's about where you'll be on a 2024 prior. And then soon, there'll be a 2026, and then you'll be able to get a 2025. But what I was told is that Yamaha increased the freight and destination because of new tariffs that went into effect very recently. So,
right,
you know how that is. It's a fluid situation, so you can't really. Who knows what it's going to be like in a week, a month,
Right.
But it's as you were saying in the beginning, and I know classic jet skis, right, Joe, over class. I know the thing is that it's difficult for younger people, right, to get into the sport, right, because they can't drop. I mean, a lot of these younger guys are living in their parents' spare bedroom still. They can't go out and spend $20,000 on a personal watercraft. And I just want to put out there completely while I have this opportunity. Waves RX, who's one of my top sponsors, they're absolutely great guys, friends of mine. They are making this possible. They are essentially sponsoring this Yamaha FX, and it'll have all their decals and all their, and I'll be using it in product features. And so it's really thanks to them that I was able to make this happen. So without being partners with them on this, I probably wouldn't have made the decision necessarily to purchase something like that. But it's a great, as you were saying, it's great to have the Kawasaki and the FX. Now I really am going to widen the perspective for both owners and potential buyers. They'll really get to see the two machines. Obviously, you specialize in doing the reviews. I mean, your reviews are great on the products, but I'm going to have more of an owner perspective, right? Like, okay, I'm 300 hours in, so now, where are we? And when I complain, it's not as like the Explorer, right? As a reviewer, they complain that you have your opinions on it, but if you're an owner of it, right, you're a customer, you purchased it, you could have whatever opinion you want because you spent the money, you put your money in the machine. So if so my review is going to be, and again, if I might have problems with it. Everyone's like, oh, the paint. I think the people that have problems with the paint are ones who abuse the machine. And I know you've said this before, people that they run it up on the beach, right? They run it onto the trailer too quickly. They don't wax it and take care of it after riding it. They leave it outside without a cover. They trailer it on a crappy trailer with unbalanced wheels with no tie downs. There's just so many variables in it. Now, are there the people who did nothing wrong and the ski had a problem? Of course. Same with the Kawi wire harness. Same with Sea-Doo. Someone just sent me a Sea-Doo 325 supercharger blew up. 20-hour machine and the gears are little bits everywhere. So it happens, right? It happens with everyone.
Right.
So, as long as the company makes it right, as long as the company, assuming that, it wasn't the user's fault, right? The company should make it right.
The problem is that everyone who comes to the warranty department, they're as pure as the driven snow. And they're like, I don't know what happened. We barely dipped it in the water and it caught on fire. And you're like, okay. And the problem is that it's like being a police officer. It kind of taints your view of people. And the warranty departments and a lot of these things, it's like, dude, everyone's lying to me through their teeth. And everyone, and so it's really hard to, sluice through, the avalanche of people claiming I didn't do nothing.
Well, then you have the keyboard jockeys. You have the keyboard jockeys who ride 10 hours a year, and then they have a problem. And then they're the ones that go to the forum and are over and over typing this stuff out, right? So look, I had a problem with my FX. I've replied to people's comments. Oh, why don't you have an FX? Oh, because the nano hull I don't like. I had a problem with mine, right?
Right.
But I don't go and I'm not making, I'm not blowing it up. I mean, we'll see what happens, right? If it's a problem, I'll discuss it then. If it's a problem for me, I'll discuss it. If it was someone else's problem, I'm not going to parrot it and say, oh, people say the Kawasaki's, oh, the engines explode. I'm like, okay, so in 2016, when they released the 310, they had a problem with the tune running too lean, and they had a number of units where the piston, where the machine detonated. That's been fixed, just like Yamaha. You said the head's cracking, and now some like Greg will say like the SVHOs, they have an oil pressure issue, right? Especially when you decelerate, the oil sloshes to the front of the pan, and the pickup loses, the sump loses its prime, and the supercharger, the stock design, then it's running dry and all that. If you ride, like when I'm riding in the chop, right? You come off a wave, you let go of the throttle, right? The ski lands back in the water, you resume your throttle, right? If you just have the throttle pinned and you're in and out of the water, the RPM, it's just with the Kawi, you're going to cook the belt. The belt's going to be, you're going to see black shreds all over, little black dust everywhere. Same with the Sea-Doo. The Sea-Doo with the carbon seal, you're popping in and out of the water. The seal's not being lubricated. Over a long distance, the seal heats up and you start to get black dust. The Yamaha, you'll cook the supercharger clutch if you're in and out and not, pinning the throttle. So as you said, a lot of it's your riding, your maintenance. So there's a lot of factors. Sometimes the manufacturer's to blame, but probably more times than not. If you look at a majority of owners and riders, there's a distinct line between what's, wear and tear or negligence and what's a manufacturer defect.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Hey, and to that point, if you want, I've got some neat stuff here. I know Kawi Performance is one of your, he advertises on Watercraft Journal as well. So there's a new product I'm working on with him. And if you want, I can show you the OEM part. And this is something I've been testing. All right. So it's kind of sexy, but it's not one of the sexy performance parts. But this is something
you're one of the only guests who brings visual aids. I love it. This is great.
I love this stuff, and I always look for this myself. I'm a visual learner. That's why I like to do the videos, and I like to read. I mean, I'll read the service manual. I already read this SVHO service manual from front to back. So if you want to know what the degree changes were on the ride plate on the HO and SVHOs, from year over year, I can tell you all that now.
Oh my gosh.
So in the Kawasaki's, now you have 3 cylinders like this, right? This is a pneumatic or a hydraulic, door. It opens the hood and it opens the gull wing doors, right?
Right.
So look at this. My skis are 2022. This is, OEM. Look how crappy that rusted. So I always say to the Kawi Performance, I'm like, hey, we need, I'll send them a text. I'll be like, I'm out on the ocean and this stupid bolt is rusting. Like you got to make these. And he always does. He'll be like, oh, I'm going to make it. I'm like, make it out of stainless. He's like, no, I'm going to make it out of grade 5 titanium. And then you'll never complain. And he does. He literally does it. I don't know how. So this is a 316 stainless steel, custom designed cylinder from Kawi Performance. The highest quality. I mean, look at this. Every single part.
Oh, gosh.
You know how difficult these are to make? He figures it out. He literally is on the phone. We were trying to have a high performance Kevlar supercharger belt, his own manufactured. Oh, wow. Another thing, I don't know if you know this, but Kawasaki changed their supercharger belts after making them for 15 years in Japan. The new ones now are all Chinese. So before they made that change, I got a hold of a supplier in Japan and ordered like 8 of them.
Oh, no kidding.
I've got, and Steve did too. We both were like hoarding all the belts. So everyone out there is probably like, oh, I can't get a Japanese belt, but because I bought them all.
That's funny.
But yeah, this is a really cool product. The OEM cylinders, if you ride in saltwater, freshwater, the maintenance is, stuff doesn't really rust in the freshwater.
Right.
But this is just something that everybody that rides in salt would probably want to have for the Kawi. And he's just working on some finalizing that up. If you want to see, I've got some other stuff too, but it's up to you. I don't want to take up. I know we're running on time.
Well, we still got some super chats too. We got to give away an oil kit.
Let me show you one more awesome thing. Okay. And as a Kawi team rider, you'll appreciate this.
Okay.
So the one thing about the Kawasaki is we have a supercharger belt, right?
Yes.
It's actually, and I can tell you this speaking from not experience because I haven't changed the Yamaha SVHO clutch yet on this. It takes about the same amount of time to change the belt as actually probably less time to change the belt than it would to, take everything apart and change your supercharger clutch. So there's a company, they're out of the EU, and it's led by a gentleman named Alan Lay. And for almost 2 decades, he was one of the chief engineers on Team Green Kawasaki. and he's got maybe 20 world championships under his belt. His components support multiple world champions right now. One of those components is something, if you're racing, you're going to change that belt probably very often. So this is a product right here. This is solid 316 stainless steel.
Okay.
This is called the Ultra Split Coupler. And what this does is it allows you to change your supercharger belt in about 15 minutes without unassembling anything, barely. You take the oil catch can and your tensioner out of the way. And this has a collar. It has these stainless steel Allens along the edge. You loosen these. The coupler slides back just enough to fit the supercharger belt through. You slide it back together and tighten it. And in 15 minutes, you could change your supercharger belt on the Kawi Ultra 310. In fact,
you gotta be kidding me.
If you bring a 12 millimeter wrench and a 10 millimeter wrench and a little, a little handle crowbar with you out on the water, you could even probably change this on the side of a channel if you really had to. If you're racing, no one would do that recreationally. But incredible product. And I haven't installed it yet, as you can see, because I'm holding it here. But
so you're going to tell me all the set screws, that's what's keeping that coupler onto the.
Yes, and these are very thick tape. They're tapered, and they go into. Each of them has a tapered hole where they fit into this ring here.
Okay.
And what I've been told is these are expertly machined. They have patents pending in the U.S. and in the EU for this. And now, the only thing I'll say is that to install the coupler, right, you got to lift the engine up. So you need a service crane, shop crane. You can change it without doing that. There is a way to do it, but in my tutorial, I'll be, just lifting the engine up. You don't have to pull it out of the ski. You just got to lift it up. And then I will actually, you got to get your old coupler off, and you could use your old drive shaft. In my case, I'm going to be replacing the drive shaft because, it's my ski's got almost 300 hours at this point. So while I'm in there, I'm just going to change out the drive shaft and all the seals and bearings, So I'm going to show a brand new drive shaft. But this is such an incredible product because people that have, and if let's say a rider paid their mechanic to put this in, right? They could change the belt themselves without having to move the engine and, because you have to slide the engine forward a couple of feet to change that belt normally. Really nice part though. It meets my seal of approval because it's all stainless steel. It won't rust. It does add a little bit of weight. So, spinning mass, but they have, they've been testing this for years. I think 4 years they've been testing this.
That's fascinating.
And then from the same company, the Kawi's got through hull fittings, right? I mean, every ski does. As I mentioned, the Kawasaki's got 3 separate feeds from the jet pump, right? The intercooler has its own dedicated water feed, and then there's 2. One goes into the supercharger, and then the other one goes into the stator housing and the oil cooler. That same company made these 316 stainless steel through hull fittings. The OEM ones are plastic, believe it or not, with a carbon steel nut. So these are 316 stainless steel. They'll never rust. You can torque the hose clamps on them to I think it's like 35 foot-pounds, but these barbs are longer, so you can actually fit 2 hose clamps if you want to ensure that your hoses won't fail if you're racing offshore. Just that company is KRP, Lay Dynamics, and they're diehard Kawasaki enthusiasts, and they join the roster of K-Speed and Kawi Performance, and even David Riva is I know he's not a big Kawi guy, but he definitely has an eye for the Kawasaki stuff. But that coupler, what do you think about that? You ever? You've seen the belts change, I'm sure.
I need more. I need to see that thing in action. I need to see the steps that he's recommending because I would like to see, like you said, your visual. I would really like to see that in practice.
Yeah, well, we'll put something together for Watercraft Journal too on it.
Well, yeah, I would love to because I'm fascinated by it.
I am too, and that's why I want to try it. Right? It might be complete garbage, and I'm not saying it is, but I want to try it for myself. And if it is what they say, and I trust them, but I'll put it in. We'll put it through the test, right? Make sure it doesn't. And if it is really what it's supposed to be, that would be revolutionary for owners just to be able to change that belt so quickly.
Yeah, I'm intrigued with how that works. All right, we've got a handful of super chats. We need to get to these guys. They've been waiting all day for this. So all day, but all right.
All right. So let me just rephrase again.
Okay.
You pick. The winner will have their choice of a Yamaha oil change kit. The Yamaha kit will be shipped directly from Riva, and it's at my expense. JD's Waterworld is going to cover it. Okay. So if you have Kawasaki, it's going to come from Kawi Performance. You're going to get the kit from Kawi Performance. I think I kind of. So there you go. You pick, Kevin,
okay, so
and then
Kawi Performance will provide. If you're a Kawasaki guy and you want it, it'll come from Kawi Performance.
Yes.
If you're a Yamaha guy, it's going to come from Riva.
Exactly. And I'm sorry,
JD's Waterworld.
Sea-Doo, I do not have the provisions right now for that, but
no, that's okay. if you're Sea-Doo, you're screwed anyway because you need to change your oil more times than not. Because you've got so much blow by happening already that you're already contaminating.
And I'm trying to be more. I'm going to try to be more. I mentioned this to Dave at Riva. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to highlight the pros of everything. I'm going to try to be. Yeah, because Riva's a big, any company, right, that you do business with, a large portion of their customers are going to be Sea-Doo inevitably. Right. And so, it's good to be fair to everybody. Hey, if the machine's terrible and they're blowing up, then, that is what it is. All right, let's get to the super chat.
So we got one from Stu. He writes, Kawasaki needs their own rec light segment. It's the only way to catch up with Sea-Doo and Yamaha and put them back in the game. Yeah, I mean, obviously Spark, and with the new Jet Blaster is getting fantastic reviews online from a lot of different sources. People are finding that the Jet Blaster is a really good response to the Spark. In fact, a lot of people are finding that the Jet Blaster is surpassing the Spark tricks in being able to be throwable, power slide, all the different little tricks and spins and the fun things that
it's got the TR1, right? The Yamaha
it does have the TR1 motor in it, correct?
And the TR1's a proven platform. I mean, they use it in all the VXCs. Right. So I mean, that engine's really been tested.
Oh yeah, certainly. And the Ace, the Ace prior to being in the Spark was being used in the snowmobiles and stuff. So both of these platforms, both of these power plants are actually a very good, dependable, lightweight, good entry platform. The problem is that Kawasaki lacks a small displacement engine. They have a 1 liter 4-cylinder, and the 1 liter 4-cylinder, I think the base horsepower put out of the 1 liter 4-cylinder is something like 140 horse. So Kawasaki would come in way overpowered. I don't want to say over in a negative, but it would far surpass anyone with a naturally aspirated 1 liter that they have in their motorcycles. But if they were to make a 1-seater or a 2-seater, but if they were to come in with a very lightweight machine that was a lightweight runabout to compete with the Spark, to compete with the Jet Blaster, that would be fantastic. The problem is that right now Kawasaki simply does not have the market share nor sales to support the $2 million that go into that level of molds. Upper and lower molds. It's $1 million a pop for a mold, roughly. That's roughly. And I know it's a little bit cheaper, but I'm rounding up for a nice square number.
But they really could have though. Instead of the SXX,
correct,
they could have brought back the X2.
I agree.
Unlimited PWC sells a kit, right? You've seen the Unlimited PWC's kit to turn an SXR into an X2, basically.
Agreed.
So I mean, that
with
at least
an actual
would have been,
banana seat.
Yeah. That would have at least had a retro vibe to it, right? Agreed. They could have done some cool retro theming to it. And they wouldn't have had to invest that much in the platform, and it could have been but again, I think we talked about it enough, but Kawasaki corporate, and I won't drop any names, right? But whoever's at the wheel is asleep at the wheel. And I think everybody in the chat who owns a Kawasaki, watches my chat, they will tell you the exact same thing. And that's they got someone there, knock, knock, come on.
Well, the funny thing about it is Kawasaki has more brand equity and history than the other brands. And
it's like they're riding on that.
Oh, Well, they're sleeping on it, like you said.
Yeah.
That equity is a gold vein that, like the X2. Imagine it was white with the red and blue stripes on it, and it had, I mean, just full embrace, lean into the retro. And if they did lean into the retro, even if they kept it at a 1.5 liter, like the SXR 160, and they said it's 160 horse X2, and it's a big, 550 pound X2, but it was white with the blue seat and the red and blue striping, and it's a Kawasaki and blue lettering, and it looked just like a 1988 or 89 X2. People would have been like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm all for it. Sign me up. So even though that would not be a 1-to-1, it would not be an apples to oranges Spark or Blaster. No. I do think it would have landed better than the SXX.
Yeah, I mean, if for a company that wasn't willing to do a new mold and do all the, maybe the top deck mold they had to come up with, they could have dug the old one out of. Of course, the sizing is all different, but they could have dug it out of storage. And anyway,
it's not a big leap. And I agree 100% with you, JD. It's not a big leap. All right, we got Watercraft Shack comes up and asks, what does Kawasaki need to do in order to earn JD's business again?
Oh, man.
Take it away.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because they already moved the factory to Mexico. There's no coming back. Tell me how many companies you've seen, and I could list them here because I purposely won't do business with any of those companies that move their factories to Mexico and fire all their American workers. And, hey, if the product got cheaper, if the price went down, they said, hey, we're reducing all the prices by 25%. Okay, that's an incentive, but they didn't do that. The prices are going up. The corporate costs are going down because they don't want to pay American workers. They don't want to pay for their health care. They don't want to pay for their benefits. They don't want to pay them a living wage. So the poor people down in Mexico, and I don't mean poor as in money. I mean, they're poor because they're so desperate. They're willing to work for equivalent sometimes to $8, $6 an hour US. It's crazy. So companies doing that, it's unconscionable to me. Just that's how I personally feel. Doesn't mean that other people will feel that way. So they can't earn, in terms of jet skis, I won't buy another one unless it has US on the HIN number in front of Kawasaki. Yamaha, it says US on there. So going forward, they've got my business until now. I love the old Kawis. I'll buy a 2019 310R tomorrow if I could. In fact, Chris Stone, I'm always texting him, hey, you want to sell me that orange 310X? You know that one, Kevin. I think there's a video of you screwing a ride plate onto that one at some point.
Uh-huh.
So I always joke. I'm like, I won't buy, and that's part of the reason why I've decided to go with the FX platform is because I'm not going to recommend that somebody buy Mexican-made machine, and I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel right now. And so, what can Kawasaki do? They can invest the same amount they invested in Mexico back in the United States in Lincoln, Nebraska, retool and update the entire factory. They can fire whoever's in charge of marketing and product development for jet ski and bring in new blood, true enthusiasts who value the brand's heritage and are willing to bring the brand forward, not people who are desk jockey, bean counters, whatever. So anyway, I won't go on too much more about it, but they can't really earn my business back at this point. So let's get them to respond to my email about their potentially dangerous and defective wire harness, and we'll go from there.
There you go.
Is that fair?
That seems fair to me.
Oh, man.
All right. Kawi Joey writes, hey, Kevin, what is the actual health of Kawasaki's jet ski line? Is Kawasaki starting to phase out the jet ski line? Between their customer support and lack of care, it seems like they gave up. Okay. So that's a tougher nut to crack, but I will give some insight. All right. So back in about 2013, we had a wonderful company that we worked with. They were a very large pontoon boat dealer out in the Northeast. Very successful pontoon boat dealer. But the owner had a sweet spot in his heart for the old school Kawasaki JetSkis. And he says, Kevin, there's no dealers anywhere around me. He goes, There's no zoning problems. There's no overlap. There's nothing that's going to get me in trouble. I want to be a Kawasaki dealer. And I said, oh, okay, well, let's see what we can do. And we reached out multiple times. I helped out in reaching out to their regional rep, because every region has a representative for Kawasaki who goes and visits and reviews all the dealerships, make sure that they're representing the brand really well, that they're presenting the product, that they're doing it in a professional manner, blah, blah, blah. Yamaha has some of the best reps I've ever encountered, by the way. Like, these guys are hungry. These guys are incentivizing the dealers.
I've heard the exact thing, Kevin, from Riva Motorsports. I've heard it from multiple people, that exact. In fact, what I was told is they said Yamaha really cares about their customers. They said more times than not. And again, this is, I don't have data right here, but they said the Yamaha reps are, as you just said, some of the best. So you're not the first person that I've heard that from. So you hear something enough times, you can be comfortable accepting it as the truth. So
right. So in this instance, we tried to get the Kawasaki rep to come out and look at this dealership. And I had put in requests. And they had put in multiple requests. And it was dial tone. We just couldn't get through to the guy. So I went through my channels at corporate. And I go, we've got an opportunity here to get a really motivated boat dealer to start selling Kawasaki JetSki. He's not going to pick up Yamaha. He's not going to pick up Sea-Doo. There's no overlap with other multi-brand dealers in the neighborhood. We need to get a guy out there. And my contacts at corporate both said, man, this guy's great. We like everything he sent us. We love his location. We love everything about it. We're going to get our rep out there. All right, cool. So they go out, they put out feelers. This rep takes over a month to make a phone call to the owner of the dealership. It takes a month to make a phone call. And he sounds like Father Time. He's like, hey there, how are you? I need to schedule a time to come out. And he goes, great, we'd love to have you. Well, how about this day? Will this work? They schedule a time. The guy no-shows. He no-shows. So the owner calls again. Hey, listen, well, there must have been a miscommunication. I'm very sorry. Let's try to get you another day. Oh, that's okay, young man. I don't need to come out. It's just fine. And they try to get him to come out. And they try and try and try. For half a year, they try to get this ancient ball of dust to come out and look at their dealership. He never does. And so finally, after this 2.5 years, 3 years of trying to get this massive Avalon pontoon boat, giant pontoon boat dealer, he goes, Kevin, I'm selling $300,000 pontoon boats. I don't need to try so damn hard to get Kawasaki so I can sell a $15,000 jet ski. Mm-hmm. And it went poof, and it disappeared. And it was like nobody from the top of corporate down to the regional representative seemed to gave a rat's ass about getting a new dealer. Nobody cared. Well, I mean,
nothing's changed. So nothing's changed then, basically.
Nothing's changed, for 15 years or 12 years. And now people talking about the customer service, they have farmed out their customer service to a phone center. All right. There's an agency who now handles all their customer service claims. But that's not unique. Sea-Doo, Yamaha, they all do that. Okay. But the question is how good is the agency?
But their responses, they could have had AI give me better responses. This is what they have to say. Look, if they're listening, this is what they have to say. Someone submits a thing like I did, says there's a potentially dangerous defect. You don't have to tell them you're going to fix it. All I would have said is, sir, rest assured, we have received your complaint. We are going to shoot it up the flagpole. We are going to investigate this further. Thank you for being a loyal customer. Your safety is our top priority. We'll get back to you with an update when we have more information. Have a great day. Period. End. Send the email. Is that so hard?
Takes 45 seconds.
I'm someone from YouTube, from the internet, sitting here at my table, and I can tell you that. So why can't, agency or not, I mean, they're responsible for what they send out. So if they cheaped out and hired some agency in Pakistan to respond to their customer service inquiries, then whoever was in charge of that decision needs to go fall on their sword, because, the rest of us are just,
now,
it's ridiculous.
To the first part of to Joey's question, what's the health of the jet ski line? Kawasaki, all right. There's an old joke, and it actually is true, is that Kawasaki Motors is where, is it KHMI or is it KMHI? Heavy equipment.
Kawasaki Heavy Industries, KHI.
KHI. Okay. So KHI, the joke is obviously KHI is the parent company, it's the moneymaker. Kawasaki Motor Corporation is where all the kids of the executives summer camp their kids. They send the joke, that's the joke. The joke is that all the execs at Heavy Industries sends their kids off to California to have a summer working in Irvine, working for KMC. And they futz around and they learn the product, and they come home and they work for dad for a little bit or work for mom for a little bit, and whoop-de-doo. That's summer camp for them. And that's an old joke that I've heard for decades. But it turns out I've ran into people like that, and you're like, oh, that's real? They're like, that's totally real. Here's the thing. KHI eats a lot of cost of KMC. And they can do it without blinking an eye. Kawasaki Motor Corporations is losing money. Not everyone. Side-by-side's doing okay. Motorcycles are doing okay. But some of the other stuff is losing money. The number one moneymaker for KMC, believe it or not, is all the farm equipment. All the mules and all the, the farm equipment stuff, that is steady income. Believe it or not.
They've even taken a huge, I don't know if you know this, but now a lot of the mules are actually made by Kimco and rebadge engineered as Kawasaki.
Right.
So, which is a shame, because they made it since 1985, I think was maybe before that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
in the U.S. Chevrolet, they were made.
Ford and Isuzu and Chrysler and Mitsubishi and Nissan and Chevrolet. Everybody
does it.
Everyone does these sorts of things, and they don't last long, and then it hurts their brand, and then they have to fix their brand, and then look what American Eagle did. All right. Over the weekend, they dropped this ad campaign with Sydney Sweeney, in tight jeans working on a GT350 Mustang, and suddenly their stock skyrockets. Why? Because everyone's sick and tired of seeing, fat, ugly girls being models, and they're like, can we stop pretending this is attractive? Can we just get a hot blonde and some tight jeans? And then suddenly everyone's like, hey, we're back.
But that's what Kawasaki needs to do. Why doesn't Kawasaki think about this? If every dealer, if they had like some hot blonde at the dealer, people would go there instead.
Yeah. When's the last time you've seen a beer commercial where, some homely guys crack a beer and a bunch of cute girls pop out? And it's like, that's what we all grew up on, dude. Lie to me. Tell me some Motley Crue and Budweiser is going to get me, lucky this weekend. Lie to me. All right. That's the whole thing. So my point in all of this, and why I'm bringing up these stupid things, is the fact that Kawasaki has invested about $1.5 to $2 million in a lot of the new STXs. We've leaked all the 26 STXs out. All right, they've got the molding in. They've made the investment, and Yamaha Sea-Doo Kawi are very rarely going to eat that failure instead of riding it out. Kawasaki thankfully can ride it out because KHI is cutting the check.
Yeah.
All right.
Aerospace and shipbuilding and New York City Transit and
100%.
Yeah.
So even if the jet ski line is a dog, there's someone in Japan going, we're not killing it. We're just going to carry it for a year or two. Now, but what does that also mean? It makes that section, it makes that branch of KMC a redheaded stepchild. It's now an albatross around their neck. They go, oh, God, we're keeping this around. Why? And so their core interest in developing product for it is half-hearted. Now, I'm saying a lot of negative stuff here. What's the antithesis of this? What's happening right now with side-by-side? Side-by-side Kawasaki realizes that they are way behind the 8 ball when it comes to competing with Polaris, competing with Can-Am, even competing with Yamaha when it comes to a performance side-by-side. So what are they teeing up for? They're teeing up for a 300 horsepower supercharged 4-seater side-by-side. All right. That's a big investment. And they're getting people stoked on it. And the side-by-side market is just major costs and big dividends. And so we've already done the development on H2. We've already done development on H2R. Those are all winning. The Ninja's not going anywhere. The Ninja's still
Kawasaki motorcycles are impeccable. I'll tell you the quality.
Correct.
Because they all have a plate made in Japan.
All right. Well, hey, got a question for you. Did you notice that the River Mark was only on 1 year of the new 22s? And then they pulled the River Mark off.
The River Mark is on the LXS and the LX trim, but the X does not have a River Mark. It has the 160 has the round black Kawasaki.
None of them since 22 have the River Mark.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Hey, because Kawi said you take that damn thing off right now.
Wait, are you for real? I never realized that. I mean, that's a big deal because they went on and on. I watched a thing where
from corporate. I have a 24 or a 25 LXS out there, no River Mark.
So what's on there? The black Kawasaki?
Kawasaki. It was only on for 1 year, and that was the last year. 22 was the last year that they made them in Lincoln.
Yeah, that's what I have. That's why I say, I mean, just the machine has been incredible.
Went to Mexico, the Japanese said, "Oh no, it do not have a River Mark. We take River Mark off."
Wait, are you so? If I look at Kawasaki right now, like at their website,
they're not on the Watercraft.
That's crazy. I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a very subtle thing, but they pulled it that fast.
Well, I'll tell you, out of all the dealers I looked at FXs at, not one of them had an Ultra 310 or on the floor that I could even.
Right.
Mine, when I got it, I ordered it. I mean, they took it out of the crate. It wasn't on the showroom floor. I ordered it. I do
not blame the current CEO, current president, Ito. I can't remember his first name. Ito. He's the new guy.
Yeah, Hiroshi Ito.
Hiroshi Ito. Okay, Hiroshi Ito's got a lot. He's got a lot of hats to wear. But right now, I sat there at the dealer meeting, and Ito. I was there. I was at the dealer meeting in California, and because they had the Angler, and they wanted me. I was the only media there for the at all.
Sure.
And for Watercraft, that is. And they had the Angler there. And I crawled all over the Angler, and one of the guys spilled a beer all over it, and I helped mop it up. It was a fun day. So anyway, but Ito gets up. Ito didn't. I can't put words in his mouth, and so I can't sit there and go, he didn't care about the Angler or anything like that. But Ito personally introduced or personally teased, because it's not even out yet, the supercharged side-by-side.
Sure.
All right. And that was a big deal. We test drove whatever the hell the new Rhinos, or not Rhinos.
Terex.
Yamaha. It wasn't a Terex. It was the enclosed one with the air conditioning.
Oh,
Mules, whatever the new mule was.
Ridgeline? No, that's Honda. No, maybe it
I
is
got
Ridgeline.
to test drive all the new mules.
Pioneer's Honda. I don't know.
No, I don't. Shows how much I cared. But it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I didn't have a.
Sure.
I mean, I got to hang out with Jeremy McGrath, and that was kind of cool. But the reality is that it was one of the last things that my the old school guys got to do, and it was not California. It was Arizona. We went out to Phoenix, Arizona, and we test drove those mules around, and that was kind of fun. And then they had me go check out the dealer meeting. We sat through the dealer meeting, and then they had me do the walk around the skis, or primarily around the Angler.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to hang out with a couple, like Dave Bambus was there, and guys from Broward were there, and that was kind of cool. And they were asking me about it, which was hilarious. And we're going to hit 2 hours, by the way. This is ridiculous how far we've gone over.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, this is one of our longest ones. But anyway,
we're only on Super Chat like number 3.
You are on Super Chat number 3. But Joey's got me going, so Joey might be our
it's my fault too. It's my fault too.
Yeah. So you kept bringing stuff out.
I know.
Anyway, Ito was buzzing over the side-by-side. All right.
That was where he came from. That was his hit pass with the company, was in the four-wheeler. So that's what he knows.
So everyone's got their pet projects. Okay. Yeah. Everyone's got their pet projects. And Ito came from side-by-side, and he wants to see the side-by-side really earn its place back in the, on the podium for performance side-by-side. He wants to go after Polaris. He wants to go after Can-Am. So he's not coming from JetSkis. Now, guess what? If Minoru Kanamori somehow became vice president of Kawasaki, you can bet your bottom dollar that the jet ski division would have the hottest stuff there is.
Well, the only things about the Ultra 310, the reason it's such a great ski is because of his R&D. And all the stuff he did is still on the machine. It's the new stuff that they added that's the problem. Think about that. The hull, the drivetrain, the jet pump, the platform, he was instrumental in that R&D. The new stuff they kind of just, put on top of whatever he did. I don't think that he was involved.
Every dingling's like, well, I want a color screen, and I want a touch screen, and I want speakers, and I need a windshield, and I need a windshield wiper, and I need a heated seat, and all this stuff. Okay. So here we go. We got Stu. Stu writes, what would happen to the Ultra hull if Kawi pulled the plug on their jet ski line? It would disappear. Same thing. What would happen to the Yamaha or a Honda? What would happen to, Polaris? It would go poof. Yeah. It's too iconic of an offshore endurance platform. It would disappear. Would Kawasaki sell the design to some other boat manufacturer? No.
They would just cut the molds up. I've seen boat manufacturers. Seacraft, one of the most prolific, the inventor of the variable dead rise hull, Bass Pro Shops, bought Seacraft, and after a time, they had all the molds here in South Florida, and they just they wouldn't sell them, they wouldn't do anything. They just ended up, mincing them up because they didn't want anyone else to have them, I guess.
Well, I've had people with really great ideas say, "Man, I really like to sell this to Sea-Doo." I go, "Don't show it to Sea-Doo." And they go, "Why?" I'm like, hey, you the very next year it's going to be there, and you're going to wonder, well, no one's answered my emails. They've already made it. Yeah. So if the Ultra were to go away, I think all the criticism that I have been foisting upon the ST3 would suddenly materialize as a redesigned quasi-progressive V-shaped hull with a flat back tail for the Fish Pro RX TX Explorer Angler, whatever the hell they, whoop-de-doo. So, yeah, no, it would just vanish, and then it would be ripped off 5 years later. All right, Jimmy writes, great content. Love the Kawi 310 up here. Not the fastest, but the water gets rough. I'm still running, and the other Sea-Doos and Yamahas are either single or beached on onshore talking. Oh, they're just onshore. It's a great ride for 2-up riding with my daughter. Yeah, again, the Ultra Hull, it's been through very, very minor modifications and mainly internal ever since 2007. They've done very minor changes to it, and the changes that I've seen have actually been in weight distribution. Sometimes they would actually, like in 2010, they weighted the front a little bit, and just weight displacement. And
the
support.
300 to the 310, they added some fiberglass reinforcement in different portions of the hull. Steve would know this, like he knows what years. Like I know that there was a single water box for a year or two, and then they went back to the, so they changed a couple things around over the years.
The single water box, that was obviously just
it had the lean issue, right? It would lean a little bit.
Absolutely rolled, and that you already have a very deep V hull, so at low or idle speed, people were falling off the ski left, right, and center. It was hilarious because people are like, "Why should I actually practice having balance on a boat? It should be flat like a pontoon." So, anyway, Drew comes in. He goes, "The reason why Kawasaki gets swept under the rug and Sea-Doos get so much praise is because people drive their jet skis like their car, ride sitting down, and are totally numb to how their ski rides." I just made fun of the fact that a lot of people don't actually, get their sea legs. And you're exactly right, Drew.
He's on a JS, looks like an 83 JS 550.
Yeah, he's on a 550 right now. And anyone who can ride a 550 can ride anything. If you are proficient in a 550, you, my friend, are an athlete, and it requires.
My 550 is still in pieces. I'm waiting.
You have one?
Yeah, I got one to restore. So
cool.
It's been completely unassembled. The hull is being professionally refinished.
Oh wow!
I'm working on it with a neighbor of mine. We're doing it together. It was his in his yard for all these years, and I said, "Hey, let me restore it so I can do." You remember I reached out to you. I said, "Hey, let's get Kawasaki to do an SXR back to basics feature on the stand-up." And for everyone that doesn't know, Kevin really, he wrote me and I appreciate that again. Thank you. He wrote me a great recommendation. We sent it into Kawasaki. Like he did everything on his end and I wrote them a whole proposal, like a really thought out. And they were just like, we don't have a media sample. Like we don't have one we could even give you. So sorry, we don't have any. Right. But anyway.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, hopefully a lot of times the answer is we don't have media budget for it, but there's more of an issue of will.
Hey, if they could hire Morgan Wallen to be on posters all over the Kawasaki dealership selling their fancy golf cart, then it's the dealers have even told me that they're sick of seeing Morgan Wallen. And I like Morgan Wallen. He's cool, whatever. But I wonder how much they're paying him for that promotional consideration for the nav. I have a Yamaha Drive 2 gas golf cart that's only a year and a half old because I just think the Yamaha was a better product with the golf cart. But anyway, all right. I know we got time here. We got to go through these. So
hey, Kevin, why haven't you showed us your loaner skis for the year? You haven't posted any ride videos. Everything good? No, nothing's good.
Could always be worse.
I have the GTX R300 and I have the Kawasaki 310 LSX. And listen, the problem is that I'm having a midlife crisis. I'm in the midst of a midlife crisis. And what do they say about depression is that you don't find any joy in the things you love anymore. And what I used to love about jet skiing, I literally detest. It's like if I made you eat hot dogs for every meal for a month.
Well, you have to actually do this for a living. I mean, you do this for a living, so
this is my bread and butter. All right.
This is, I mean, I do this
I have
for
a car
fun.
magazine, so I do car stuff.
Yeah, but you do the media. This is your source of income, so you have to wake up every morning and do this. That's what I do this for fun. This is my hobby. I'm like,
right.
So I don't have to do it, but it's
I'll tell you what, the loaner skis. I feel very favorably of the GTX R300. I think the GTX R300 should be the fastest ski that Sea-Doo sells. I think they should get rid of the 325s. I think they should get rid of the RX-PX. I think they need to get rid of the RX-TX. I think they need to completely scrap the GT or the ST3 platform. I think the biggest ski they should sell is the GTI. I'm over it. I'm over the 13.5-foot long, 1,000-pound full-size runabouts. I'm over it. They're small boats, and they have allowed enough untalented, unathletic people to share the water, and it's dangerous. It's the idea of the Hellcat. You've made 715 horsepower available to any idiot, and now it's dangerous. And I jokingly say, I'm like, we've dug too deep. We were too greedy, and we dug too deep. And I think the GTR X should be the baddest thing they sell, and it tops out at 67 miles an hour. And everyone's like, "You're insane. You're taking crazy pills. How could you possibly say that?" And I go, because the vast majority of people are idiots. And
people like to take their skis. I see this around here all the time. I mean, I don't really do the group rides. I don't do that. I have like a small group that I ride with. I take the ski out in the ocean by myself a lot. But there's a lot of people who launch. They go right to Peanut Island. They go right to the sandbar, and they've got the cigarette in one hand. They've got the stereos blasting. They got this life jacket unzipped in the middle, and they're credit card captains. I mean, there's people with boats the same way. Yeah. And they're not real enthusiasts, and that's kind of what you're getting at too. With
and honestly, I think it's like what I was saying about the guy beforehand with Drew. If you can ride a 550, you can ride everything. I think the safest drivers on the highway are guys who ride motorcycles, because their head is always on a swivel.
It's funny you say that, because I was just having a debate with somebody. They're like, "Oh, motorcycles are dangerous." And I said, and look the stat up. More people in the United States die in crosswalks each year than on motorcycles. It's 100% an accurate statistic.
Yeah.
Almost as much people die from choking in restaurants than on motorcycles. I mean, heart disease, cancer, I could keep going.
But the problem is that
guns in elementary schools, I mean,
right. It's the motorcycle fatalities. What they do not equate for is how many of those motorcycle fatalities are not because of the motorcycle rider themselves, but other people on their phones or dicking with their radios or yelling at their kids in the back seat, and they come swerving over and smear some poor guy on a bike into the K-rail. I buried a really great guy when I was 25 years old, a really neat kid that I went to church with. My wife and I were engaged at the time, and he was a big Samoan kid riding a big old chopper. You had to be blind as a bat to miss this guy, and he got killed in Tampa, Florida, just by some lady merging 3 lanes over and wiped him out. Wasn't him. Wasn't his fault. Mm-hmm. And that's my point, is that the fatalities of motorcycles is often not the motorcyclist's fault. It's other people on the road. And other people on the road are distracted by all the crap in their car. All right. And I feel the same way about modern jet skis. All right. Hey, listen, I'm all for innovation, and I'm all for navigation and being safe. But the problem is that now you're sitting there dicking with your phone, trying to get it to sync with your stupid with the stupid dashboard from BRP Go, because the BRP Go app is hot burning trash.
Oh, and then you got to update the app, and then you forgot your login, so you got to update your login.
Yeah,
the app
I gotta check my email, and then it's like, oh, hey, I'm gonna Bluetooth sync to my other radio, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna, I'm gonna send a text message through my Yamaha Connects dashboard through my microphone, so I can call in work to tell them I'm sick, even though I'm out on the water. And it's like, I don't need all this crap. I'm over it. I'm just over it. And so for me, and this is just the book of Kevin, this is not gospel doctrine. But the reality is that I'm looking at a major course correction in the way this magazine goes, and it will probably upset a few people. But we're gonna try it out. All right, let's keep rolling. We got.
Now I'm curious. Now I'm really curious too. Since you said that at the beginning, I'm like, I gotta know now.
Yeah. JD, oh my gosh, this is going to keep us going. JD,
okay, we'll try to make it quick.
What is your favorite, most fun ski?
All right, I just got the FX SVHO, the SMC hull. I haven't even broken it in yet, right? I wasn't even supposed to get it until Tuesday, was the original. But anyway, I have it, and so I can't, I might love that thing. I'll tell you right now, as of this moment in time, the Ultra 310 is by far my favorite ski that I've ever owned. Just the pure power, the sound of the supercharger, just the way the machine rides, as everyone knows, just the way it hooks up. And Kevin, this comes back to the big heavy runabout, but I have the STX 1100 as well. I've had the Wave Ventures. I've had GP 1200s. With the smaller, lighter skis, you can't really ride through the chop like that. It's just miserable. It's just, you can't do it. But I could take the Kawi out the Jupiter Inlet in 8-foot chop with small craft advisory, be the only boat, and somehow that thing just plows right through with plenty of horsepower. And and again, I know I've said a lot about Kawasaki and the skis, but the Ultra, besides the wiring issues, the engine and platform have been extremely reliable for me. Have been fun. I take my family, I take my kids out on it. I go out in the ocean by myself, obviously on it. And so I'd have to say that the Kawasaki Ultra 310, the 2022 with the watermark on the front, made in USA, is my favorite ski.
Very cool. Okay. We have one more, and this is actually right up your alley. Arash has a very good question. He says, I'm considering buying an Ultra 310X. Good. Don't get one with the swim step. Local place, you don't need the extra 40 pounds. Local place has a 23 model for a ridiculous discount of $15,000. The ski only. He's not getting a trailer. How bad is the wiring harness issue? Would a 23, would you be deterred from buying a 23?
So, listen, not everybody's going to have the wire harness issue, right? It's some people report no problem at all. It's just like when they were making the harnesses, I guess, I don't really know. I was hoping Kawasaki would tell us, but anyway, if the ski has had the recalls done to it, there was a water intrusion recall that they did. They fixed some seals. I don't know, Kevin, we didn't talk about that at all, but
yeah, no, I've seen the recalls that came in. But
that was very important because salt water would get into the hull, and if the supercharger belt gets wet, then it slips, and then you have a loss of performance. So sometimes people would have issues. Water would get in behind the headlights. Water would get in behind the display. Water would get in from that engine, the stupid engine cover that I know you hate, that I said wasn't so bad, but now after having it for 3.5 years, it's stupid. So look, if the dealer, if the recall's been done, I would just say I have an extended Kawasaki warranty on my ski. Not that you guys know I never use it, but purchase the extended warranty on it. Make sure the dealer has replaced the harness, and make sure if you can't do the work yourself that you have a dealer or mechanic that's capable and that you would trust in the event you do have an issue. 15.5 out the door. If that includes destination, tax, registration, dealer stamp fee, blah, 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 then that's a really, really good deal.
I was going to say you're stealing.
Yeah. The only other thing is in 2024, Kawasaki revised the KSRD system, and they added, remember we were going to do a write-up on that for Watercraft Journal, but Kawasaki never responded to my requests so I had to basically, Jamie from K-Speed, I had to basically get information from all these different people about it. And what I've determined, in 2024, they revised the KSRD system, added a spring to the bucket, changed the ride plate because they added a mount for the spring, which the Riva plate, by the way, has that mount. So if you do have, they changed the throw of the cables in the KSRD actuator, and they changed some internal components of the actuator itself. So the 2023 is the Gen 1 KSRD. Okay. So that's the only thing. That's what I have in my ski. They say it's non-serviceable, but I actually did a video on unassembling it, greasing everything, cleaning it up, inspecting it, blah, blah, blah. I haven't had too many issues with it. So I think if you trust the dealer and they can service the machine and the recall's been done on the wiring harness, or it came, I guess the 23s would have come out of the factory with that already done, right? I mean,
I believe so, yes. It should all be updated stuff.
I wonder if he's in saltwater. It seems like
he's in California. He's in Southern California. I think he's out of Newport Beach, if I remember right.
Yeah, well, I think
he rides out to Catalina Island and back.
Oh yeah, so the 310. I love my machine. Again, like I bought the FX too, but I still have a soft spot for the 310. It's just such a well-built machine. I can't speak to the Mexican ones. I'm sorry. I'm being honest. Like everything I say, my video why I bought a 310. That was the U.S. made one on the legacy of manufacturing that they established over 50 years, right? In 50 years, they've been making them in Mexico. Come ask me, right? When you manufacture something for 50 years in the same factory, that Mexican factory's been open 3 years for jet ski, right? 2 years maybe. So I don't know if it has U.S. cow in the HIN number. Definitely. If not, maybe try to get a little more off of it. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Is 23 made in Mexico? Yes.
It's some were and some are not.
That's true. It was split because 22 was Lincoln, but 23 was split. 24 was entirely.
Yes, Mexican. I've seen 2023s, and I didn't notice the river mark. And it's so funny you said that because I just didn't even notice it. Some 23s that are US because
correct.
I've seen the actual HIN myself on them, but I think like halfway through the year, that's when the swap was made.
Yeah. Tell them, how do you see what's the indicator on the HIN?
It says US.
It'll just say US on it. Okay.
US dash cow KAW. The Mexican ones do not say US. They just say KAW. They should have put MX dash, but they were too embarrassed. They really were. I'm telling you, they would have. They did. It was a secret change. No press release. No Power Sports Business publication. Sea-Doo is very big. Sea-Doo is very proud of their Mexican manufacturing facilities, right? They had the ribbon cutting and everybody out there, but Kawasaki was all hush hush under the radar. So
yeah. All right. Well, I gotta say, Kawi Joey, please email me. You won the oil change kit for sure.
I know Kawi Joey. He's a big contributor. Wait, what was his question? Oh, the health. Yeah, that was a good one.
Customer support. He got us going for a while. So if you know him, reach out or have him email me, whatever.
All right, Kawi Joe, you get a genuine KPO full synthetic oil, and then you get a genuine Kawasaki oil filter for your machine. So
very cool. Awesome. We have broken I think this is our standing record for going the longest at 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think this is killer. You got a lot of, there's a ton of stuff coming out for JD's Waterworld. I'm going to try to make the poor guy write some articles for us.
Well, gas prices these days, I could use some cash probably. So
yeah, you should probably write for us. Oh, we got 2 more super chats coming in. You guys stop it. We're
yeah, I've got work tomorrow,
Yeah,
my real job.
He's got a real 9 to 5. He says, I guess I'm going to be the guinea pig for the new STX. We'll get the base model. Good night, good JD and Kevin. Well, All right, we got a rash. JD, we had an exchange yesterday about Yamaha hulls. I'm curious what makes you not worried about the hulls.
Hey, okay, Billy Duplessis, right?
So they're not going to flex as much.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Billy Duplessis, okay, he's just on he's been on Kevin Shaw's podcast going to the beginning of time, right? I remember the first time I tuned in, it's like, Billy, I'm like, who is this? He's some celebrity. And he really is. I mean, he's got a Yamaha, a Sea-Doo, and a Kawasaki. He's friends with everybody. I'll be on some obscure jet ski channel, and I'll go to make a comment, and he's already got comments there. Like, the nicest guy you'll meet. I mean, him and I have never actually met in person, but we text, and he'll be like, oh, say hi to Lauren and the kids for me. Like, the nicest guy. Yep. And he works at Jet Blast in Mississippi, right? He's instrumental in the boat shows. I said, Billy, tell me honestly. And he has Gina's got 310R. He put 700 hours on the last one. Yeah. Right. I mean, so he's an honest guy. I said, tell me, and he's got an FX 1.9 that he had for a little bit. I said, tell me honestly, what's the deal with the hulls and the paint? He says, I ride with a dozen guys that have the new SMC hull. They're not having the paint issues. Now the GPs, but the Nano GPs are another story altogether. I'm not talking about those. So when you generalize, people tend to generalize that Yamaha has paint problems. The GP, that's Nano. The FX, that's Nano. Possibly they still have issues. I've been doing a lot of research and talking to a lot of people about the FX. I'm confident in everyone I've talked to and the buddies I have that have purchased these skis. I'm trusting their assessment, and that's why I made the jump myself. So, yeah, we'll see, right? We'll see. That's all I can say is we'll see how it holds up over time.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much. We are now at 222.
Oh,
which
man.
was actually my Boy Scout troop number. And we are going to wrap this one up tonight. Guys, if you learned something new, you got to thank JD. You got to go and thank him by going over and hit subscribe and checking out his videos. The guy goes into the weeds, gives you all the information you're possibly going to want. Very, very detailed work. Where can people find you both on every channel? Tell us. Where can
YouTube JD's Waterworld. That's the only way. I don't use Facebook, and I reply to almost every single comment. So email, comment. I help with diagnostics. You know, just for fun. It's my hobby. If it becomes a job like you, things may change. But on that note, Kevin, everybody that's watching this, check out watercraftjournal.com. It's the only published personal watercraft magazine and resource pretty much left. And they have great, it's not AI generated content like some of the stuff you see. It's written by real people, real jet ski enthusiasts. And, you know, I always go over to Watercraft Journal. I get your email, I get all your headlines. And, you know, I know it's been tough for you, but I speak for all of us when I could say we really appreciate you keeping the content flowing. And so looking forward to what's to come with Watercraft Journal.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Guys, thanks again. I hope everyone enjoyed tonight. We went way into overtime on this one.
Oh, man. Yeah, but, thanks, everybody.
Yeah, great. Guys, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.